Hello, folks. You're going to have to indulge me today. I'm sorry. This has got no script, but, yeah, North's extremely angry today. I just watched, earlier, the CD Projekt Red reveal, quote-unquote, of the next patch for Cyberpunk 2077. They have hyped this up for quite a few weeks now, and been teasing everybody, and then they even delayed the new content for the game, saying, oh, you know, we're going to delay it because we've got to get it just right. And thinking, okay, cool. And then watch the live stream today. They added a couple of cars to the game. A couple of cars. And some photo options and... yeah. Oh, and a taxi service that you don't need. Yeah, that's it. Is anybody getting sick of game companies over-promising and under-delivering? That, as a Games Workshop fan, again, that was a bit of a segue there, but back into what I'm talking about today. As a Games Workshop, you know, not fan, but fan of their products, you would think I would get used to being let down all the time, and this is something that I wanted to just speak about in general. Again, no script. It's a 40k rant, and it's the first raw one I've done in quite a while. The main point of this video is gaming in general, right? Gaming in general, and how I don't think Warhammer 40,000 will ever get its AAA video game. Now, please understand what I mean when I say AAA video game. A AAA video game to me is essentially something that, well, it isn't Total War, put it that way. A lot of people say, well, they've got Total War. What are you talking about? A load of nonsense. No. Total War is not a AAA video game. It's made by a semi-large studio, but a AAA video game is a video game with a lot of money behind it. It is a video game of the Skyrim ilk, you know, the Fallout ilk, that kind of level of video game. I don't think we're ever going to see that kind of game from Warhammer 40,000. I've often and Cyberpunk 2077, by the way, AAA. It is technically a AAA video game, right? So I don't think we're ever going to see that. And on the channel, I've often tried to almost pitch that game, right? For those of you who don't know, I've always said that, by the way, Owlcat are an amazing developer. Don't get me wrong. I loved Pathfinder. They were kind enough to give me a promo release version for the latest DLC for Rogue Trader, which I still haven't played, but they knew I liked it, so they just gave it to me. So thank you for that. I'm not going to review the video game because of that, and I emailed them as well saying that. I was like, that is my biggest bugbear. If a company gives you something for free, you lose all credibility in your thoughts about that thing, right? It just is what it is. Even now, when me saying that Owlcat is an amazing developer, I'm still kind of feeling guilty because they gave me something for free, right? But legitimately, I do think they're an amazing developer, and they have amazing games. And but for all that being said, they're not a AAA developer. And back in the day, I did a video about the perfect Warhammer 40,000 game. And a lot of people said to me, well, North, you want to do a role-playing game that's 40k? Rogue Trader's coming out. And I was very frustrated because I said, no, that's not the game I meant. Right? Rogue Trader's a brilliant game, a brilliant isometric old-school RPG, lovely stuff. That it's not a AAA game. That's not the kind of game I'm talking about. The kind of game I'm talking about is 40k Mass Effect. It's Mass Effect, but 40k. That kind of game. Huge in scope, huge in feel, massive in world building, with a lot of money behind it, a good engine behind it, decent combat, that kind of thing. Basically what I pitched was, if you could take the combat from Mass Effect Andromeda, right, 40k-ify it up, 40k-ify that world up, and make it so that your character has his own spaceship, he is an Inquisitor, he starts off as an Interrogator, which is a junior Inquisitor, and he works his way up to get his full rosette. He or she, by the way, you get to create who you want. That is also a big thing in games, create your own character. I don't want to play your stupid character that you made up in a meeting room somewhere. No, I don't want that. I don't want to play as Siri either, right? I want my own character. Thank you very much. And I want to make them as I like to make them. All right? Cool. Big bugbear of mine. If you don't let me create my own character, you haven't created a role-playing game. Straight up. Straight up. If you don't let me create my own character, your game is not an RPG. The Witcher is not a role-playing game. You're not playing a role, you're playing as Geralt. Right? You're not defining your own role, you are a Witcher, and the Witcher. Right? You're in The Witcher 4, you're playing Ciri, you're playing a Witcher, right? That's your role. You're not playing your own role, you're not defining it yourself. In a role-playing game, you're defining who you are, and then the world reacts to you doing that. A la Cyberpunk 2077, you can create the kind of V that you want, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying, right? Moving on. So that's the kind of game I pitched. I pitched a AAA budget, Mass Effect style game, but you are an Inquisitor in Warhammer 40,000. I would buy that game, and I don't think I'd ever stop playing it. That is a game literally made for me. So yeah, that's what I pitched. I pitched that. I don't think, I've just given up this afternoon. I don't think we're ever going to get that video game, and what's more, I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. Because gaming in 2025 sucks ass. It sucks. It's terrible. Last night, I was playing Skyrim in 2025 because there's nothing out there. If you're an RPG fan, there's nothing out there. Just nothing. Absolutely nothing. What are Bethesda doing with Fallout and Skyrim? Nothing. And Elder Scrolls? Nothing. Absolutely zilch. We've not heard a zilchy thing about Fallout single-player campaigns in 10 years. 10 years. What about Mass Effect? Right? They brought out Andromeda. It didn't do very well. Did they remedy that? Did they patch it? Did they make a sequel that took everyone's feedback in mind? No. BioWare bitch and moaned, went away, and made Anthem, which it was even worse. Again, not heard of a single-player Mass Effect game for a similar amount of time. Everything is dead, man. Everything that we loved is dead. It's gone. Right? And if they do bring it back, you know it's going to be chock full of pseudo-political left-wing nonsense that nobody wants to play through because it's lame, right? It's BioWare. That's what they're going to do. Look at Veilguard. Oh my god, Dragon Age. I forgot Dragon Age. Oh, days. Oh, no. Oh, no. Right? You see what I mean? If you're into RPGs, big budget RPGs, you have nothing to play. You're still playing Skyrim. It came out in 2011. You're still playing that game. This is why we're never getting that 40k game. I've had to make a video now to draw a line under this because I know we're never getting it. And do you know what? Guys and girls, lads and ladettes, it really does break my heart because that's one game I always wanted to see. I always wanted somebody to get that license and go, do you know what would work for this? Mass Effect. Mass Effect would work for this. Right? Let's do a rip-roaring space opera where you're an Inquisitor. And you can play an Inquisitor from... You can be like a dashing rogue or a totalitarian asshat, or you can, you know... You do the 40k stuff, man. You can call down exterminatus in certain parts of the story. Wouldn't that be cool? But no, we're not going to see it. And with gaming as it is, you know, the soulless grind of microtransactions and games as a service, right? Literal games as a service. Constantly having to be online or your game doesn't work, even if it's a single player game, right? I get nostalgic whenever I boot Skyrim up. Do you know why? Because even if I don't have internet, which I always do, but even if I didn't for some reason, Skyrim will still boot up, no problem. It doesn't require you to sign into a server to start the game. Games nowadays, even single player ones, you bet your ass they do. right? You bet your ass they do. CDPR, who make Cyberpunk, probably one of the last holdouts of people whose game doesn't require you to be online in Cyberpunk. But it's coming. They're going down the same trends as everybody else. They were the last bastion, and today, they just proved to me today that they learned nothing by the release of 2077. In 2077, they over-promised and under-delivered. And today, they did exactly the same thing with this new update as well. They talked nonsense for weeks about how cool it was going to be. They added a couple of cars, man. And I get it was free. I'm not saying that. Free's fine. Then just bring it out. Just bring it out. You don't need to string people along. Just bring it out. If it's free, who cares? I'd pay you happily. I'd pay you for new content in that world. Happily, no problem. But this is where we are, and this is why I think we're never seeing that game. That's on the flip side of things as well, right? I think there's another very good reason why we're never going to see that game, and it's Games Workshop. Games Workshop, weirdly, now have to be very, very careful where they give their IP to in terms of gaming. Because gaming is huge in the zeitgeist, right? It is worth countless billions of dollars and pounds, right? If Games Workshop want to present 40k in a certain way, you can give Owlcat the license and not worry about it, because Rogue Trader as a game it's pretty hard edged. There's a lot of really cool grimdark stuff in there, right? It's not so grimdark in other areas. Sometimes it can be a bit veering away from the lore a little bit, but in terms of its darkness, by and large, it's pretty grim. It's pretty 3rd edition, right? It's made by people at Owlcat who love the grimdark future of the far future, right? The grimdark millennium of the far future, right? They love it. 41st millennium, get it in me veins, right? But you can give the license to a company like that because that game is not going to sell, 50, 60 million copies, right? It's not gonna. Well, that's a ridiculous number, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's not gonna be a part of the zeitgeist. It's not gonna do Skyrim numbers. It's not gonna do, Mass Effect numbers. It's gonna do decent numbers, and it should because it's a very good game, right? But it's very safe to give the license away for that, because one, you're getting paid, and they're probably getting paid for every single unit sold as well. And you know who's buying it? The chuds, quote unquote. People like me and you. People who like 3rd edition. People who like the grimdark future. We were always going to buy it, and we do buy it. So we're now sated, we're happy, right? But giving the license away to... Can you imagine if a company who was, number one, worth a lot of money, and had the money behind them to do shit, and was based. Do you know what I mean? Like, absolutely loved 3rd edition 40k, and they came along and said, Games Workshop, we would like to hire your IP to make this game the magnum opus. It's a Mass Effect style game. It's going to be super grimdark. It's going to be the full-on 40k. Games Workshop were going to tell them to climb a tree. They wouldn't give the IP away, because that would be veering away from the narrative. The only reason Owlcat were allowed to do it was because, again, they're a smaller studio. The game isn't going to be a part of the normal zeitgeist. It's kind of going into the reasons why I believe the Amazon show will be a bit of a farce in the end. I don't think Cavill will end up doing it. I know people inside who've told me, he's definitely going to do it. He's definitely going to do it. Well, why isn't he then? Why isn't he then? Why am I not seeing trailers? Why am I not seeing any sort of news about filming going ahead in this country over here, or costume design or anything? Nothing. Absolutely nothing has come out about that entire thing for years now. It's not happening, right? He's putting the brakes on it, and Games Workshop and Amazon know without Henry Cavill, it's dead in the water, because nobody's going to watch it. Because they're relying on us to start the ball rolling, to watch it and get the numbers up. And then, without him, we don't trust them. Because one of these companies made Rings of Power, and the other one's Games fucking Workshop. So, right? The reason why that hasn't gone ahead yet is because you've got Cavill there, and he will want to adhere to the grim dark future. He will want to adhere to third edition style 40k, the John Blanchian style. He'll want to adhere to that. Games Workshop don't want that. And that means we're never getting this video game. Not at this level. They wouldn't trust anybody to do it. And the only companies they would trust to do it either don't have the time, or they're not the kind of people who like 40k in the first place. And this is what I've always said. It goes back into my normal point. People who work at BioWare, rampant lefties, don't like Warhammer for Warhammer. They don't like 40k for what 40k actually is. Which is why you would never catch one of these studios dead making a 40k game. Ever. Because they're not interested in it. Several developers now, I've seen different interviews, a few of them on CD Projekt Red, a few of them with Owlcat, places like that. This was before Owlcat did the 40k game, by the way. You'd see behind some of them, they would have models behind them. 40k models, things like that, right? Right? Rebel Wolves. You know Rebel Wolves? Who are making, I think it's Blood of the Dawnwalker, Blood of the Dawnwalker, whatever it's called. Looks really good, by the way. Behind one of those developers was like some Chaos Knights were behind him. Right? So the studios out there who are actually based and will actually treat 40k with some reverence and respect, right? They will never get the opportunity to work on one of these games. Those are the kinds of studios Games Workshop will say, no, you're not working on this. No, because you could create something really good, right? You could create something that the chuds, quote unquote, will really like. So no, you're not getting that game. You're not getting the license to do that game. Yeah? The only people who would are people like BioWare. And do you know who I've seen a lot of interviews from? And they never seem to have any models around. They never seem to mention it. They never seem to be into it or anything at all. Yeah, that's BioWare. It's companies like that, right? Because if you look at 40k for what it is and you don't try to change it, if you're rampant lefty or righty, you don't like 40k, right? If you're really on either side of this retarded spectrum, you don't like 40k, right? In fact, old school 40k tells you to fuck off. It literally tells you to fuck off. Like it, quite literally. You know? 40k is about the dangers of extreme thought. That's the central theme. The dangers of extreme thought. In everybody, not just the Imperium, in everybody. Even the Xenos, even Eldar, are extreme in their thought processes. They're totally racist, man. They're really, really racist. Right? The only good guys are the Orcs. And even they're kind of extreme in the way they think. Right? So if you're on one of those two sides, if you're one of these dudes who like doesn't want like black people or, you know, women in the hobby because you're a bit of a douche, or if you're one of these Sigmarxism knobheads from Reddit who likes to jerk off in his mum's basement, right, but whilst thinking of her toes, yeah, old school 40k doesn't like you. It doesn't want you. It doesn't want you. And people like me don't want you. Because we grew up with this stuff. And we love it. We revere it. Alright? We revere this stuff. We're the people who are being squeezed out, and we're the people who Games Workshop don't want to have nice things. Why? It's not because they don't like us. Right? It's not because of that. Let's not get a persecution complex going in the chat, right? It's not because they don't like us. They don't have some personal vendetta against us. They're chasing the common money, man. They're chasing the mainstream. And the minute you give 40k to a company like Rebel Wolves, or a company like, you know, let's say Owlcat Games upscaled significantly to go into AAA gaming, which I hope they do one day, they will never give the license. The one thing Owlcat can do to make sure they never get to work on a 40k game, you know what it is? Again, do you know what it is? Become successful. Become successful enough to make a AAA game. If they ever become successful enough and they get like a publishing deal, let's say they get a deal with like Microsoft or somebody who just says, hey, we'll lay down some money, we want you to do an open world RPG, right? and they go, we're doing 40k, let's go to Games Workshop and try and get it. Yeah, fat chance. Like shit. You are not getting anywhere near 40k. Right? You're too dangerous. You're literally too dangerous. And that's why we're never getting the game that I wanted. But on the flip side, would I even want it? Let's go to the next part of that thought experiment. Would I even want this game now? Let me take a quick sip here. Would I even want this ideal game? Let's be honest. In this day and age, what's it going to be? Probably riddled with bugs, unfinished, need a copious amount of patching before you even get anywhere, right? Have parts of it shaved off for DLC that were originally in the game, you know? And by the way, here's another thing. If a 40k game, the way that I said it should be, ever came out, do you know what it would create? War. Ironically. You would always... The two sides would be going at each other constantly. You'd have the far right and far left yapping at each other again, using this thing that we love as another battleground for their bullshit. Yeah? It'd put it into the mainstream, and you know, full on, that it'd be, you get these like outrage merchants on that we see on certain YouTube channels talking about, you know, oh my god, these leftist cringe crybabies, you know, that kind of stuff, and it just, shut up. Honest to God. I understand you're trying to fight the good fight, but some of it comes off as just disingenuous, and I know that's not how you feel. I know you're just trying to get outraged for clicks, right? I know. I've resisted doing that on this channel. One thing I can say, hand on heart, is that whatever titles I come up with, that's what's in the fucking video, right? That's what's in the video. If you click on a Hobby Nightmares, I'm discussing the thing that's in the title. Or a 40k rant or whatever. It's in the title, it's right there. We don't deviate, it's there. Unlike some other channels that like to make mountains out of molehills, and they're normally very politically aligned. That's all I'm going to say. It's either side, but they're very politically aligned. Make something out of nothing. But the bombardment of shit like that you would get if they did a 40k AAA RPG game. The amount of nonsense that would be thrown at you at muzzle velocity. Constantly. All the time. 24/7. Gaming sucks. And by the way, companies like EA and all that, yeah, they had a hand in ruining gaming. But so did you. You listening to this. So did you. You bought into this. Right? You bought into it. You forced them to go down this route. You showed them where the money was. And the money was in cynicism. The money was in greed. Right? The money was in anti-consumer practices. This is a thing across geekdom, not just in 40k. For years, I've said to people who whinge and moan at me about 40k's prices all the time, stop fucking buying it then. Go somewhere else. Do something else. Stop buying it. Print it off. You got a 3D printer. Or go and find one. Print it off. If you give Games Workshop money, you don't get an opinion on how bad they are. I'm sorry, you don't. If you go into one of their stores and you pay overpriced for this overpriced garbage most of the time, right? Covered in mold lines and all sorts. If you're one of those people, and then you come onto my channel and you bitch and you moan about Games Workshop, you don't have the right. You pay into this thing. You're a hypocrite. Same thing goes for gamers. A lot of you will bitch and moan about CD Projekt Red, right? And then you'll go out and buy The Witcher 4. I'm not going to buy The Witcher 4. I don't support them. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sick of this bullshit. I don't support it. I don't. Right? Same thing goes for BioWare. They could bring out, you know, Have Sex with Liara to Sony for 12 hours simulator and it's a VR experience. I still wouldn't buy it. Was that specific? Yeah, probably overly specific, but you see what I'm saying, right? Vote with your wallet. Have your principles. Okay? The most you should be doing with video games is maybe getting it on Game Pass or something, but even then, it's Xbox, and they've been terrible recently. Right? Nintendo's a joke. Absolute joke with the way they treat their customers. Xbox, ruined. Nonsense. The prices on the PlayStation Store, insulting. Every game needs to be online, or you can't play it, even if it's single player and you've got no mates. Doesn't matter. Right? Gone are the days of just loading up Battlefield 4 and having fun with your friends. Gone are the days, man. You know? Even things like Darktide. Even Darktide. And Darktide tried. It tried. They tried. But when that came out, it was a mess. And this is gaming across the board. This is why, when Early Access came out, I was one of the only voices saying, that's a terrible idea. Early Access is a terrible idea. I don't want Early Access to your game. I want you to fucking make it. I don't want Early Access to it. It's not finished. The only people who should be allowed to do Early Access are indie developers, 1 to 2 man teams who need help testing their game because they can't afford to go and hire QA people. They can't afford to sit there not earning any money whilst they're trying to finish their game. It makes sure they get the money and the backing to finish their game from people who like it and are actually playing it and helping them make it better. That's what Early Access is for. Early Access is not for companies like Electronic Arts, BioWare, Bungie, all these CD Projekt Red, all these massive companies. It's not for you, assholes. It's not for you. Early Access is an excuse for them to be fucking lazy. That's all it is. They can give you an unfinished product and fix it later, if they can be arsed. And you know what? That brings me on to fucking Horus Heresy 3.0. Do you know what? No, I'm not. I'm negatived out for today. I'm negatived out. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm sick of this company. I'm not going to talk about it. Right? You want me to talk about it? I'll get Macca on next week. We'll have a little chat about it. We're going on Mordian Glory's channel today. Actually, we're going to be recording today. So maybe Mordian's going to put it up today, tomorrow. I don't know. There will be a video on 3.0 Horus Heresy on his channel. I will be on it with Kaifa and Macca from the Outer Circle, so that the Grimdark Therapy boys are invading Mordian's channel for a bit. We will talk about it there. But my point just comes around. It comes straight around. Games Workshop are doing the same thing. Release something broken, because they hold you in utter contempt. They don't hate you. They don't give a shit about you. You're just a number, man. You're a number. Who gives a fuck? You're going to buy it anyway. You drone. You're going to buy it anyway. Don't lie to me. Don't come in the comments and lie to me. You know, oh, I'm not going to buy third 3.0 Horus Heresy. Yes, you are. You are. You'll give them money anyway. And they know that. They know that. That's why they're going to release something that's utterly broken, completely bollocks, completely against the spirit of the game, and it doesn't work. And you'll buy it anyway. I'm sick to the back teeth of gaming in general, of hobbying in general. Whether it be video games, whether it be Warhammer, it's all been tainted. And, do you know what? I'm going to use the word. It's been tainted and raped. That's what it's been. Dude, even football. I'm not going to go there. Even football. If I want to watch a Premier League game, or a couple of Premier League games in the season, I've got to spend upwards of £700 a year for that. And there's no guarantee the games you're going to be watching are any good, by the way. By the way, I'm an Evertonian. I support Everton. Most of my games aren't good. Everything sucks. I'm really upset. Army Miss isn't home. awful, man. Like, honestly, I'm sitting here perplexed at the world. Why has everything gone to shit? Why? I remember the days when I'd get home from school and I'd put the disc of Final Fantasy IX in the tray of my PlayStation and I'd play it for hours. And I'd love it, you know? Now even the good stuff is oversaturated. I've got an oversaturation of choice on Steam. You know? Sure, there are things I could play, but you get a paralyzation, don't you? You got a FOMO thing of, well, I'm playing this right now, well, what if I could be playing something else and having more fun, right? So even when things are going well, there's too much of it. You get too much of a good thing. I crave those simple days of being able to play video games for hours with your friends. Or even on your own, right? Do you know what I used to do with Warhammer figures? I used to play them on my own. I used to just get them and then I'd learn the rules by playing on my own. On the coffee table in the living room. Like my mum would be watching like Coronation Street or something. And I'd just play on the coffee table with my Space Marines and my Eldar. You know? And she'd ask me who's winning. Only now do I realise that was a joke. That, you know, it was only me playing. Who's winning? Me? Oh, good. Yeah, I miss those days, man. You know? Things were simpler. You know, I see my daughter, and she's always looking at her iPad. You know? And I take her out. I do things, right? We go and do things. We go to the park. We feed the ducks. We go to town. We go to anime stores. We do all sorts. We go to the cinema. Visit family. Right? We go swimming. We do all these different things with her, right? But the fact remains that when she comes home from school, you can't do things every single night because it costs money, right? So when she comes home from school, instead of like doing something healthy, like when I was a kid, I'd draw fantasy maps, or I'd write, or I'd listen to some music and read, or I'd play on my PlayStation, you know. I still only do those things for an hour or two, and then I do something else, right? She's on it all night. All night. And it's so hard to get it off her. Like, because it's just like, sometimes it's not worth the battle, right? Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you're so exhausted from working that you're grateful for it. And it makes me feel really guilty. But you're grateful. You're going, well, thank God there's something to distract her, right? But I don't want that. I want her to be doing other things. I want her to be going out in the back garden and playing. I do it all the time. I hide the iPad, or I say, come out in the back garden with me, and I'll read Berserk where she can't see it. I'll read Berserk, and she'll be reading her own thing, like Spy Family or whatever. Or she'll be kicking the ball around or chasing the cats around trying to give them cuddles, right? And those moments are great. But, like, there's just an oversaturation of every fucking thing now. And these companies monetize it. And they try and get you for every single penny you have. To the point that even just turning on a video game, you're lambasted with, do you accept these terms and conditions? Do you... Oh, for fuck's sake. I just want to play the game that I purchased. Can we have access to your data? I just want to... Fine. Like, you know? I don't know, man. Maybe I've ranted for long enough. Like, but this has cheered me up. Like, you guys have been my therapy today. So, what do you guys think of the world at large? You know, do you think we'll ever get that 40k video game? Should we ever get that 40k video game? Let me know in the comment section down below. I love you all a long time. I'll speak to you very, very, very soon. I've been Northern Exile, and I'll see you for more Hobby Nightmares tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye now.